So now let's talk about managing your user groups. And this is a really great functionality now, primarily for the purpose of being able to message these different groups, being able to communicate to these different groups homework assignments, updates on the site, requirements. You can go ahead, what I would recommend that you do is, as well as separate your classes or your groups of students by category, but also separate them into groups, because it will allow you, again, to message these groups. However, in the future, I believe hopefully in September, we will have the functionality to add permissions around these groups too. So what does that mean? Well, that means that you will be able to limit the topics that these groups see. So as soon as my AP track students sign in, they won't see the topics for Biology 1. Of course, we'll go ahead and update you when that feature is released, but that is something that you should be aware of that is coming, as it helps a lot in the student management aspect. So we're in manage groups now. You'll see that this is a quick overview of all of the groups that I have. If I want the details of these groups, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and click on the group that I want to see the details for. I'll see my group name, Biology 1. If I need to rename it, I'll click on the field here. Again, the details of all of my members, the ones that are pending activation, as well as add new members. So I can go ahead and select from my list of students here to add to my group, or I can search for them with the search field here. Now you'll see the pending activation ones here. What this actually allows you to do, if you're inviting your students by email, so there's pluses and negatives to both methods of inviting students. If you're inviting them via email, what you can actually do is assign them to groups before they actually get into the site. So when they join, when they click through the activation link, they register, they're a part of the site, you don't have to assign them to a group. It'll be already done. And you do that by creating your groups and then going into your pending activation, selecting who you want in which group. So now let's go ahead and create a group. What I'll do is click on Create New Group right above, or right below Manage Groups, right above Group Name. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and create my group name. So I'm going to create a group for my literature circles. So I'm going to do my Literature Circle 1. And then I'm going to go ahead and select the students that I want in that group. And you can select multiple students in different groups, if I communicated that properly. Multiple students can be a part of multiple groups. So if you've got AP track students that are also biology and chemistry, they can overlap as much as you need them to. So I've gone ahead and selected 4, and you'll notice that my selected tab up here reads 4. So what I'll do now is I'll go over to Selected. That's all of the students that I need in my Literature Circle group. I'll scroll down and then click on Create Group. And it will go ahead and add it to my list, which is alphabetically organized, so it will be right there in the middle. So that is how to manage your groups, create a new group, and view the group details, as well as manage your members. So we went through the full demonstration, I believe, of the Manage Members area. So we have completed the demo for today. So there was a bunch of content covered in this webinar. What was covered? The 2 ways to invite your students. So via URL, having students register on the site, and again, this is the best method if students don't have email addresses. You can set up a dummy email. You can set up Gmail aliasing. There's options there, so you're not stuck if your students don't have emails. Email student invitations through the site. So go ahead and send them over a registration link, allowing them to activate directly through their email. And then you can manage your students. So bringing up the Manage Members area. Promote anyone to a moderator status who you might want as a TA or a co-teacher. Check on the reporting and then export your member list. And then managing your student groups. So deciding which students belong to which classes or groups of students and organizing them accordingly. So one last thing that I want to draw your attention to today before we conclude, or almost conclude, is our How-To Classroom site. The How-To Classroom site will be a phenomenal resource for you to connect with other teachers. So this is definitely a peer-to-peer community, and I recommend that you log in, register, introduce yourself, and connect with your other peers using Collaborate Classroom. Share best practices, tips, and tricks. So definitely use it as a peer-to-peer community. It's also a support community. So if you have any questions at any point in time about functionality, best practices, how you might maneuver anything or navigate the functionality, feel free to reach out to the Teacher Success team here. You know, we do our best to answer your questions in a timely fashion, so feel free to reach out to us here. We also do our best to post any upcoming webinars we're going to have on this site as well. And then also on the site, you'll find a ton of help documentation, free resources, and support videos. So again, I recommend you join our How-To Classroom community, and that is going to be at http://howtoclassroom.democrasoft.com. So I'm going to take a quick pause here and get into QA in just a second, and then I'm going to go ahead and launch a couple of polls if you wouldn't mind taking those briefly as I review the questions that you had throughout the presentation. Again, we really do appreciate your feedback. It really helps us to shape our product. Our teachers dictate what features we release and really the direction that we go with our product. So we want to make sure that we're offering you the right services, and we want to make sure that you're getting the most out of them. So don't be afraid to be honest with us. We won't hate you for it. So I'm going to go ahead and launch these polls right now and then take a quick look at your questions.